The 2015 Tour de France was the 102nd edition of the Tour de France, one of cycling's Grand Tours. The 3,360.3 kilometers long race started in Utrecht, the Netherlands, on the 4th of July 2015 and concluded with the Champs-Élysées stage in Paris on the 26th of July. A total of 198 riders from 22 teams entered the 21-stage race, which was won by Froome of Team Sky. The second and third places were taken by the Movistar Team riders Nairo, Quintana and Alejandro Valverde, respectively. BMC Racing Team's Rowan Dennis won the first stage to take the race leader's yellow jersey. Trek Factory Racing rider Fabian Cancellara claimed it on the second, only to lose it after crashing out on the following stage. This put Froome in the lead. After the Tour's first uphill finish, he lost the position to Etix's Quick Step's Tony Martin at the end of the fourth stage, but Martin's withdrawal from the race after a crash at the end of the sixth stage put Froome back into the lead. He extended this lead during the stages in the Pyrenees and defended it successfully against attacks from Quintana during the final stages that took place in the Alps. Froome became the first British rider to win the Tour twice, after his 2013 victory. Peter Sagan of Tinkoff Saxo won the points classification. Froome also won the mountains classification. The best young rider was Quintana, with his team, Movistar Team, the winners of the team classification. Romain Bardet of AG2 Mondiale was given the award for the most combative rider. Teams. 22 teams participated in the 2015 edition of the Tour de France. All of the 17 UCI World teams were automatically invited and obliged to attend the race. On the 14th of January 2015, the organizer of the Tour, Amaury Sport Organization, announced the 5 second-tier UCI professional continental teams given wildcard invitations, one of which, Mountain Cubica, was to become the first African-registered trade team to participate in the race's history. The team presentation, where each team's roster are introduced in front of the media and local dignitaries, took place at Leppelenburg Park in Utrecht, the Netherlands, on the 2nd of July, 2 days before the opening stage held in the city. Each team arrived in small boats along the Oudegracht Canal. The number of riders allowed per squad was 9, therefore the start list contained a total of 198 riders. For the riders that began the race, 160 made it to the finish in Paris. The riders came from 32 countries: France, the Netherlands, Italy, Spain, Belgium, Australia, Germany, Great Britain and Switzerland. All had 10 or more riders in the race. Eritrean riders Daniel Tekelharmanot and Mahawi Kudus, both of Mountain Cubica, became the first black Africans to compete in the Tour de France. The average age of all the riders was 29.67. The youngest was Kudus at 21, and the oldest was the 41-year-old Matteo Tosato of Tinkoff Saxo. Cofidis was the youngest team and Trek Factory Racing the oldest. The teams entering the race were pre-race favorites. In the lead-up to the Tour, the main contenders for the general classification, known in the media as the Big Four, were Froome, Alberto Contador, Nairo Quintana and Vincenzo Nibali. All had won at least one Grand Tour, amassing a total of 20 Grand Tour podiums. Former Tour de France winners Froome and Contador returned to the race, having crashed out of the 2014 edition. The riders considered outsiders were Tadej van Garderen, Thibaut Pinot, Joaquim Rodriguez, followed by AG2 Mondiale's Jean-Christophe Perraud and Romain Bardet. Froome had shown his form during the season, with overall victories at the Vuelta a Andalusia and the Criterium du Dauphiné, the Tour's warm-up race. Contador had earlier in the season won the Giro d'Italia and was aiming to become the first rider since Marco Pantani in 1998 to achieve the Giro Tour double. He was also aiming to hold all three Grand Tour titles simultaneously, having won the 2014 Vuelta a España. 13 days before the start of the Tour, Contador won the Route du Sud, defeating Quintana by 17 seconds. Quintana placed second in the 2013 Tour, winning the mountains and young rider classifications. He was absent in 2014 as he concentrated on the 2014 Giro d'Italia, which he won. His major victory of the 2015 season was the Tirreno Adriatico. The defending champion Nibali was considered a contender, although his best result of the season was 10th in the Tour de Romandie, and placed 13th at the Dauphiné. The sprinters considered favourites for the points classification and wins on the flat a hilly bunch sprint finishes were Alexander Kristoff, Mark Cavendish, Andre Greipel, Peter Sagan and John Degenkolb. Kristoff and Cavendish both showed the form during the season coming into the Tour, with 18 and 12 wins, respectively. Greipel was also a contender, spearheaded by his sprint train, much like Cavendish. Three-time consecutive winner of the points classification, Sagan was expected to have a hard time repeating as winner due to the changes in the classification's point structure and also due to the fact he had to ride in support of Contador. Degenkolb, who won the one-day classic races Milan-San Remo and Paris-Roubaix in the season, would take the lead of the team giant Alpecin team due to the absence of the 2014 Tour's four-stage winner Marcel Kittel, who was not selected due to lack of fitness. Route and stages. On 8 November 2013, the ASO announced Utrecht would host the 2015 edition's Grand Départ. It was the sixth time Tour had started in the Netherlands, a record for a country outside France. The previous five were 1954 in Amsterdam, 1973 in Scheveningen, 1978 in Leiden, 1996 in 's-Hertogenbosch, and 2010 in Rotterdam. Utrecht paid the ASO reported €4 million to host the Grand Départ. The full route of the Tour was unveiled on the 22nd of October 2014 at the Palais des Congrès in Paris. After the first stage in Utrecht, the second stage left the city to finish in the region of Zeeland in the south of the Netherlands. The third began in Antwerp, Belgique, and concluded at the Meurderwee, a steep climb known for its inclusion in the one-day classic race La Flèche Wallonne. Stage 4 started in Saraing, before ending in Cambrai, France. It featured 7 cobbled sectors with a combined distance of 13 kilometers. Stages 5 to 9 crossed northern France westwards, beginning in the region of Nord-Pas-de-Calais and ending in Brittany. The riders then took an air transfer to the south of the country for the next 3 stages through the Pyrenees, which include the Tour's most climbed mountain, the Col du Tourmalet, on stage 11. Stages 13 to 16 formed a continuous 4-stage journey that navigated eastwards to the Alps. 4 stages took place in and around the mountain range, before a second air transfer taking the Tour back to the northeast to finish with the Champs-Élysées stage in Paris. The Tour included 6 new start-to-finish locations: Utrecht in Stage 1, Zeeland in Stage 2, Liverot in Stage 7, Le Pierre-Saint-Martin in Stage 10, Muret in Stage 13, and Chevreuse in Stage 21. At the announcement of the route, the race director Christian Prudhomme described it as atypique, adding, "If you do not climb, you will not win the Tour in 2015. The most noticeable differences were the lack of time trial kilometers and the mountainous terrain. There were 21 stages in the race, covering a total distance of 3,360.3 kilometers, 298.7 kilometers shorter than the 2014 Tour. The longest race stage was the fourth at 223.5 kilometers, and stage 21 the shortest at 110.5 kilometers. The opening individual time trial was 13.8 kilometers, although it was too long to be classified a prologue, and the team time trial on stage 9 was 28 kilometers. Stages 3 and 8, although officially classified flat, finished at the Mer de Huy and Mer de Bretagne respectively, whilst the hilly stage 14 ended at the Côte de la Courneuve. There were 7 stages defined as mountainous, 6 of which had summit finishes. Stage 10, to La Pierre-Saint-Martin, Stage 11, to Courtarays, Stage 12, to Plateau de Bay, Stage 17, to Pierre-et-Loup, Stage 19, to Les Touches-les-Cybelles, and Stage 20, to Alpe d'Huez. On the 25th of June, it was announced that, due to a landslide, the route of Stage 20 would be changed, bypassing the Col du Galibier and instead climbing the Col de la Croix de Fer. The stage distance, however, remained intact. The rest days were after Stage 9 in Pau and 16 in Gap. Race overview. The race's opening individual time trial stage in Utrecht was won by Rohan Dennis of BMC Racing Team by a margin of 5 seconds over Etix's Quick-Step's Tony Martin, with Trek Factory Racing's Fabian Cancellara a further second down. Dennis set the record for the fastest average speed in a time trial at the Tour, with 55.446 km per hour. His win put him in the race leader's yellow jersey. On stage 2, crosswinds along the coastal route to the finish in Zeeland caused the peloton to split into echelons, resulting in time gaps between riders. The stage ended in a bunch sprint won by Andre Greipel, putting him in the green jersey as the leader of the points classification. Dennis was in a group that finished 1 minute 28 seconds in arrears. Cancellara finished third placed in the stage and took the race lead, profiting from a time bonus missed by Martin, who came in 9th. The general classification favorites that gained time from being in the leading group of 26 were Chris Froome, Alberto Contador and Tejay van Garderen. The other favorites finished in the same group as Dennis. On the third stage, the race was neutralized following a major crash 58 kilometers from the finish, which put 6 of riders out of the race, including Cancellara. The peloton continued to the final climb, the Mer de Huy, where Joaquim Rodriguez held off Froome to take the stage by 1 second. Rodriguez was awarded the polka dot jersey as the leader of the mountains classification, and Froome took the yellow, while also gaining time over the other general classification favorites. It was the third day in succession Martin ended in second place overall, and to 3 different riders. The partially cobbled fourth stage saw Martin take the victory and the yellow jersey with an attack on the lead group 3 kilometers from the finish in Cambrai. On the fifth stage, a bunch sprint occurred and Greipel got the better of it by beating Peter Sagan and Mark Cavendish, respectively. In the sixth stage, Zdeněk Stybar of Etix's Quick-Step won after escaping on the concluding small ascent in the port city of Le Havre. A crash in the final kilometer forced Martin to abandon the Tour with a broken collarbone. The second yellow jersey wearer to surrender after Cancellara. A record was set after the stage, with Daniel Tekelharminot becoming the first black African to lead the mountains classification. Although Froome now led the race, no rider wore the yellow jersey on stage 7 as Martin had finished the stage and earned the right to wear it. Cavendish won the 7th from a bunch sprint in Fougères, Brittany. Froome was awarded the yellow jersey after the stage. Stage 8, finishing atop the Mur de Bretagne, saw the first French victory of the Tour, with a G2 Mondiale rider Alexis Vuillermoz launching an attack inside the final kilometre to take the victory. The general classification favourites finished together except Vincenzo Nibali, who lost 10 seconds. Sagan moved into the green jersey. BMC Racing Team won Stage 9's team time trial by 1 second over Team Sky. The squad of Nairo, Quintana, Movistar Team, came in third, 4 seconds in arrears. Alberto Contador's Tinkoff Saxo in fourth, 28 seconds down, and Nibali's Astana following, a further 7 seconds behind. The first rest day took place the following day in Pau. Stage 10 was the race's first arrival at altitude, with the finish at Le Pierre-Saint-Martin in the Pyrenees. The day's breakaway was caught and passed on the final climb by a select group. Froome attacked with 6.4 kilometers remaining to take the win, with teammate Richie Porte and Quintana a minute in arrears. The stage saw time gaps open up across the general classification leaders. The biggest loser was Nibali, who came in 21st, over 4 minutes behind Froome, who increased his lead to second place Tejay Van Garderen to 2 minutes and 52 seconds. Froome took the polka-dot jersey and Greipel the green. Stage 11 was another mountainous stage. It was won by Rafał Majka, who was part of the early breakaway and attacked on the slopes of the Col du Tourmalet. He soloed across the line in quarter-race 1 minute ahead of second-placed Dan Martin. The green jersey returned to Sagan. Rodriguez gained his second victory of the race on Stage 12. He was part of an early 22-rider breakaway that reached the final climb to Plateau-d'Aubé. Froome kept his lead intact. Stage 13 saw the escapees being brought inside the 1 kilometer to go marker. Greg Van Avermaet of BMC Racing Team took the uphill victory ahead of the chasing Sagan. On Stage 14, a 24-rider breakaway reached the final climb, the Côte de la Courneuve. After the breakaway had fractured, Thibaut Pinot and Romain Bardet led over the summit, before Steve Cummings of Mountain Cubico overtook them to take the victory at Brno Airport on the plateau above Mende. Sagan was part of the breakaway, amassing maximum points at the intermediate sprint, over 4 minutes after Cummings had finished. Froome out-sprinted Quintana while the other general classification favourites were slightly distanced. Quintana moved into second place overall, displacing Van Garderen. Stage 15 had for principal difficulty the Col de la Escrinette climb, which saw most of the sprinters succeeding at passing the climb in the lead group, with the notable exception of Cavendish. Greipel won his third stage of the Tour, followed by John de Genkolb and Alexander Kristoff, respectively. On the next stage, featuring the Col de Mans as the final climb, Ruben Plaza escaped the leading group of breakaway riders on the ascent. Sagan chased him down the descent, but to no avail as Plaza soloed to victory in Gap. The next day was the second rest day, spent in Gap. Stage 17, the first of 4 alpine stages, saw third-placed overall Van Garderen withdraw from the race with illness. The stage was won by team giant Alpecen's Simon Geschke, who escaped from the breakaway with under 50 kilometers remaining to win in PRA Loop. Fifth-placed overall Contador crashed on the descent of the Col de Loz, losing over 2 minutes to race leader Froome. On Stage 18, Bardet attacked the breakaway close to the summit of the Col du Glandon and opened a gap on descent before riding solo to victory in Saint-Jean-de-Maurienne. Bardet moved up to 10th overall and became joint first with Rodriguez in the mountains classification, displacing Froome. In stage 19, Nibali broke away from the general classification group close to the summit of the Col-de-l'Équateur to bridge and pass the breakaway group and win at Les Cybelles. Quintana came in second, 44 seconds later, with Froome coming in a further 30. In the Tour's penultimate stage, a select group of riders attacked on the Col de l'Équateur and made it to the finish on Alpe d'Huez, where they met the disintegrate early breakaway. Pinot attacked past the breakaways to take the victory ahead of the encroaching Quintana, who came in second after attacking the chasing general classification group on the Alpe. Quintana gained a margin of 80 seconds over Froome, but it was not enough and had to settle for second place overall. The final stage in Paris was won by Greipel, his fourth victory of this year's Tour. Froome finished the race to claim his second Tour de France, becoming the first British rider to win the race on 2 occasions. He beat second-place Quintana by 72 seconds, with his Movistar Team teammate Alejandro Valverde third. Froome also claimed the mountains classification, the first time a rider had won both since Eddy Merckx in 1970. Although he failed to win any stages during the race, Sagan won his fourth consecutive points classification with a total of 432.66 ahead of Greipel in second. The best young rider was Quintana, followed by Bardet and team giant Alpecen's Warren Barguil, respectively. Movistar Team finished as the winners of the team classification, over 57 minutes ahead of second-place Team Sky. Classification leadership. There were 4 main individual classifications contested in the 2015 Tour de France, as well as a team competition. The most important was the general classification, which was calculated by adding each rider's finishing times on each stage. The rider with the least accumulated time is the race leader, identified by the yellow jersey. The winner of this classification was considered the winner of the Tour. Time bonuses returned to the Tour for the first time since the 2008 edition. For all stage finishes, excluding the 2 time trial stages, the 3 first finishes of stages earned bonuses of 10, 6 and 4 seconds respectively. Of the reintroduction, race director Christian Prudhomme said, "We want to open up the race. We want the race to be decided on any day of the Tour." Quote, "If a crash happened within the final 3 kilometers of a stage, this did not include the time trials and summit finishes. The riders involved received the same time as the group they were in when the crash occurred. Rain on the final stage forced the final times of the general classification to be taken on the first crossing of the finish line before the 10 laps of the cobbled Champs-Élysées. Riders were required to cross the finish line on the final lap to receive the times. The points classification leader was identified with a green jersey. Riders received points for finishing among the highest placed in a stage finish, or in intermediate sprints during the stage. The points system was also changed. A stage win was worth 50 points instead of 45. Second place awarded 30 instead of 35 and third 20 instead of 30. The sprint points rule change aimed to make a stage win more valuable. The points available for each stage finish were determined by the coefficient ranking scale. The new system was in effect only on the Tour's 6 stages classified as flat. On 7 stages the rider who won received 30 points, 25 for the second rider, and so on. For the mountain stages and the individual time trial, the winner received 20 points. No points were awarded on Stage 9's team time trial. No changes were made to the mountains classification, where points were awarded to the riders that reached the top of the most difficult ascents first. The climbs were categorized as either or category, first, second, third, or fourth category, with more points available for the higher categorized climbs. The overall leader wore a polka dot jersey. Double points were awarded on the summit finishes on stages 10, 12, 17, 19 and 20. The young rider classification, denoted by a white jersey, was calculated the same way as the general classification, but the classification was restricted to riders who were born on or after the 1st of January 1990. The team classification was calculated using the finishing times of the best 3 riders per team on each stage. The leading team was the team with the lowest cumulative time. The number of stage victories and placings per team determined the outcome of a tie. The riders in the team that lead this classification were identified with yellow number bibs on the back of the jerseys and yellow helmets. In addition, there was a combativity award given after each stage to the rider considered by a jury to have made the greatest effort and who has demonstrated the best qualities of sportsmanship. No combativity awards were given for the time trials and the final stage. The winner wore a red number bib the following stage. At the conclusion of the tour, Romain Bardet won the overall Super Combativity Award. A total of €2,030,150 was awarded in cash prizes in the race. The overall winner of the general classification received €450,000, with the second and third placed riders getting €200,000 and €100,000 respectively. All finishes of the race were awarded with money. The holders of the classifications benefited on each stage they lead. The final winners of the points and mountains were given €25,000, while the best young rider and most combative rider got €20,000. Team prizes were available, with €10,000 for the team time trial and €50,000 for the winners of the team classification. €8,000 was given to the winners of each stage of the race. There were also 2 special awards, each with a prize of €5,000. The Souvenir Jacques-Godard, given to the first rider to pass Godard's memorial at the summit of the Col du Tourmalet in stage 11, and the Souvenir Henri Desgrange, given to first rider to pass the summit of the highest climb in the Tour. The Souvenir Henri Desgrange was originally to be on the Col du Galibier in stage 20, but due to a route change it was replaced with the Col de Loze in stage 17. Rafal Majka won the Jacques-Godard and Simon Geschke the Henri Desgrange. Final standings. UCI World Tour Rankings. The race was the 18th of the 28 events in the UCI World Tour, with riders from the world teams competing individually for points that contributed towards the rankings. Points were awarded to the top 20 finishes in the general classification and to the top 5 finishes in each stage. The 338 points accrued by Chris Froome moved him up to second in the individual ranking, behind Alejandro Valverde. Despite Movistar Team's strong showing, Team Sky took over the lead of the team ranking due to Froome's points. With 3 riders in the top 10, Spain remained the leaders of the nation's ranking.